alone for the first time can be quite the transition. As many of you know, my roommate and one of my best friends, Andrea, moved out in the spring, and now I'm heading into my 6th month of solo living. So I thought now would be a really good time to share my thoughts on the experience, answer some of your questions. I feel like there's a lot of fears and assumptions that come with the idea of living alone, so hopefully this video kind of gives you some good quality insights. I just want to preface this video by saying that I have experience living with parents and my brother. I've experienced living in an apartment with 5 other women. I've experienced living with a roommate for almost 3 years, and I feel so lucky to say that I feel like I've loved every single one of those experiences. I am not living alone because I don't like people, which I'll get into a little bit more detail about, but yeah, I'm happy to be in this stage. I think a good place to start are with the pros and cons of living alone. On the pro side of things, you can wear or not wear whatever you want. If I need to run from my bathroom to my closet to grab like a towel or something, I will be doing it in my birthday suit. You really have complete control over your environment, which can be as simple as being able to put on music at 7 a.m., which I wouldn't have done otherwise because Andrea was someone who slept in quite late, so I wouldn't want to disrupt her sleep, and I would prevent myself from making a lot of noise in the morning. But it can also mean that you have, you know, control over what your environment looks like, which is a lot of fun. And on the work side of things, which for those of you who don't know, I do YouTube full-time now. I can film at all hours of the day. I don't feel like the pressure to film in a tight time constraint, because if I don't finish a video, I don't necessarily have to clean everything up. I can save it for the next day. And that is one of the reasons why living in Andrea worked, was because I've known her since elementary school, so I feel like we were more like family than friends. I wasn't trying to tiptoe around her, and she was very supportive of what I did, so I never felt like I couldn't do things if I didn't want to. But you do want to respect the fact that your home is not just like your home, it's someone else's. And that is a big reason why I'm not getting another roommate, because Andrea was the ideal person for the job. So because she decided to leave, I feel like the best situation for me to be able to like create freely and not feel like I am being limited is to just live by myself. I feel too like now that my office and bedroom are separated, there's more work-life balance, which I think is so critical, because I live and work in the same place. That has been a huge advantage to this shift. Of course, there are cons to living alone, mostly because those pros, like being able to create without worrying about someone else or having a separate bedroom and office, that comes at a very real price, and that price is paying the full rent. It's not a fun time for my bank account. It means I have to be a little bit more careful with my money, but for me, it's like the price of it definitely is worth the benefit that I get for it. And that might not be the same for everyone. I think I'm in a very unique situation because I work from home. If I didn't work from home, I probably would be more willing to live with a roommate, because all these things wouldn't matter so much, if that makes sense. I think the hard part about living in the same place I used to have a roommate is that I remember what it was like to have a roommate. So we used to always split the cleaning. She would clean the bathroom, I would clean the kitchen and living room. We'd each clean our rooms. She'd vacuum, I'd mop. I'd take out the trash, she'd take out the recycling. Like we split things, and now I have to do all of the things. It's tragic. Honestly, the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Also, like the loss of just life in the apartment. Like I don't have someone here 24/7 where if I'm like in a weird work funk or just a funk in general, I can just go to this person and get distracted or share a laugh with. Those moments, those special moments that you really only have when you live with someone, they don't really exist. And when Andrea moved out, that's the first time I've experienced that on a long-term basis in 22 years in my whole life. So it is weird, I won't lie, to get used to it. One of the most unexpected cons to living on my own, and I don't know if con is the right word for it, because I think it's just like a change in the way I have to think of things. For the past 3 years, I was here in Toronto because of school, so I didn't really feel like I had moved out from my parents' place. I didn't consider myself, I'm a Torontonian, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna end school and I'll probably go back home. But when that didn't happen, it was like the first time that I really realized, oh, I have moved out of my parents' place. I live here, this is my home. Like that's not my my 24/7 home. Like, it's still home, but it's not my everyday home, which is weird. Like, that shift in thought was more dramatic than I would have expected it to be. You almost feel a little bit of added pressure of the fact that, yeah, I'm now responsible for my life, which is an exciting feeling, but also it's a bit intimidating. And I'm still in the process of figuring that out and finding my comfort with that. I'm getting there, but living alone has definitely like pushed me forward into it. For the most part, I feel like I've really settled into living alone. I do think part of living alone is being really aware, or at least discovering the kind of person that you are. I took a Myers-Briggs test a few years back, which if you've never taken one before, it's a personality test, and I will link it down below. It's really interesting. And through that, I had discovered that I'm an ambivert, or at least it confirmed that I'm an ambivert, because I've always known that I'm someone who both gets a lot of energy and fulfillment from being around other people and connecting with them and spending time with them. And whenever I go too long without being around other people, like, I don't do well. But I also know that I've always been someone who really values my alone time. So too much of either extreme has never worked for me. I really do need some sort of balance with the two. And that made living alone for me a little bit of a concern at the beginning, because I knew I was also going to be working alone. So because I wouldn't have that coworker interaction that I did have as a student, I'd be able to go see peers in class. I was worried I'd get too much alone time and not enough other people time. But I actually feel like now more than ever, I am equally catering to both sides of myself. Last month especially, I made it a priority to arrange get-togethers with people from school, catch up with them, coffee dates. I went to a couple events. Kind of joke that my apartment feels like the Monica apartment and Friends. I'm like the hub for people when they come to the city, and it's been really great because I get to spend time with people, but then I also, when they leave, get my alone time. So it just feels like right now I'm in a really good place with balancing social life and like private time. But it is something I have to be really intentional about and make an effort to get together with people and be social, because if you don't make that effort, it's not just gonna come to you. Obviously, it's hard to find like that perfect equal balance between the two, so I just always have to be checking in with myself to see, you know, do I feel like I've had enough social time this week? No? Okay, let's make that the effort for the next few days. Do I feel like I've had enough alone time? No? Okay, that needs to be the focus. It's a journey. So let's get into some tips. Tip number one on the note of socializing is to make an effort to socialize. I think a lot of people fear that living alone is just gonna be like incredibly lonely, but it's up to you to not make it that experience. So making an effort, I think at least once a day, to get out of your apartment no matter what, whether it's to go see friends or family, or just to even go to a coffee shop. Maybe you bring your laptop with you and you do some scrolling on the internet in public rather than on the comfort of your own couch, just so that you can be around people. Going to a bookstore or a library, taking a walk somewhere new, checking out a cute little shop, doing something that gets you out of that house and just around humans has been a critical rule that I've introduced into my life. I've also tried to schedule in more events into my calendar. So like concerts, musicals, book signing events. Especially in Toronto, it's so easy to like do things, but it's also easy to ignore all the awesome things that you can be filling your time with. I think having things like that every month or every few weeks kind of keeps things exciting. Another tip is to make your environment, your home, your apartment, whatever it is, something that you love. One of the pros, as I mentioned, to living alone is that you can do whatever you want with your space. So take advantage of that and actually make time to make your space something that you feel good living in. I've been making changes to my apartment for months now, and I will be showing you those changes very, very soon, so I appreciate your patience on this. I've decorated it the way I want it. I get to organize the way I want. The things around me are things that spark joy. Like, I've always loved this apartment, but I'm shocked by how much more my love for it has grown, because it's mine. Like, it feels like my humble abode. Chore routines are absolutely necessary. Having a designated day to clean your apartment, to take out your trash, to do laundry, like, these are things that you will procrastinate on if you just leave them to chance. And if you kind of make them a routine in your life, it makes the probability that you'll do them a lot greater. Financially, you also now have all the responsibility, not just in terms of rent, but for the things in your apartment. Obviously, like creating like a budget and a plan is really helpful. And I want to talk about like finances in a whole other video, talking about money and saving and all that really not so fun stuff. But just as a general money saving tip for non-perishable food items or toiletries, cleaning supplies, buy them in bulk when you can. I have not bought in toilet paper and paper towels since May, and it's October now. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's just because I stocked up last spring at Costco and saved a lot of money, because toilet paper and paper towels, you learn, wow, they are expensive. I bought in bulk in like black beans or chickpeas, like things that I like to keep in my pantry so that I have those basics always on hand, and it makes it easier to create meals. Cleaning supplies, I like to buy like those big refill jugs so that I don't have to be buying like just the individual hand soaps or dish soaps all the time. It's just so convenient, and it usually has a financial benefit to it as well. We are back on the couch because I was not having it with the lighting in my office. But I thought now would be a good opportunity to answer some of your questions that I asked on Instagram stories. Has it been hard learning to cook for yourself? I've always cooked for myself. Even when Andrea was here, although there was the two of us, like we have different diets. I'm a vegetarian, she eats meat, so that wouldn't have made sense. And we also have different like just tastes. So we both would buy our own groceries, make our own meals. We kind of just operated solo in that regard. So that hasn't really changed. I pretty much buy the same stuff every week that I used to. I now have to maybe just buy like condiments all by myself now. A big tip I have for those of you who do cook for yourself though, is especially if you are learning how to portion size, is to invest in storage containers with lids so that you can store leftovers in your fridge and have them the next day. Meal prepping obviously is also really handy. I am working on trying to get another meal prep video out in October, so stay tuned for that. And those are always geared for one person. I'll link my previous two in the description box. I'm genuinely curious about whether people leave the bathroom door open when they pee. No, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just kind of do whatever my spirit compels me to do on that particular pee trip. Does it get scary? Do you get paranoid? How do you stay safe? I got a lot of safety related questions. I think the first couple of weeks were definitely a little bit unsettling, just because I was getting into the habit of making sure that the place was locked down before I go to bed by myself, whereas in the past I would always know someone else was checking as well. But I feel really safe in this building. I think being in an apartment helps too, because I know that there's locks to get into the building, there's cameras in the building and outside of the building. I have a lock on my door, but more importantly than that, I have a deadbolt, which for some reason, like that deadbolt makes me feel just a lot more secure. You just have to be smart when it comes to living on your own. If you are traveling late at night back home, always make sure that you tell someone where you are, or if you're in an Uber, share that Uber with a friend nearby so that there's someone who knows where you're at in the world. I also have family and friends that have spare keys to my apartment, so that if I ever lock myself out or need someone to go check in at my place when I'm not in the city, I have people that can come do that for me. How do you battle the quiet? Well, sometimes I do embrace it, because sometimes the silence allows me to hear my brain think a bit. But oftentimes during the day, I have some sort of music playing on in the background, or I'll pop on my TV and have like a movie or like a TV show playing very low in the background, just so it feels like there's life in the apartment. So music or movies / TV shows. Doesn't have to be super loud, but just like that little bit can make it feel nice. How do you deal with scary things like bugs? Good question. I hate bugs, so this has been one of the worst parts about living alone. There's been a few spider incidents, which in that case I've learned that my vacuum is my best friend when it comes to spiders. I just suck them up and pretend like it didn't happen. But yeah, I won't lie to you, it's not great. And honestly, the only thing you can do is make the decision as to whether or not you're gonna live with the bug or you're gonna deal with the bug, because no one else is gonna deal with it for you. I hate it. I can't emphasize it enough. Do you get paranoid about leaving appliances on when you leave the house? Absolutely. And the only solution to that is for me to double, triple, quadruple check everything. The big question I'm sure you're wondering is, would I recommend living on your own? Honestly, I would say that if you have ever the opportunity in your life to live on your own and you're financially able to make it work, I think it's an experience worth experiencing. Wow, so eloquent. But I feel like living alone is such a gift. I really embrace it, and who knows, I could be living alone for the next oh my god, oh my, oh no, 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 no. You know how we talked about bugs? No, 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 no. The decision to live with it? No, 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 no. Look at that. Look at that. That was what freaked me out. I will take him outside later, but no, no. My dude, no, we can't live together. What was I even talking about? Would I recommend living alone? No, the bugs don't make it worth it. Trauma aside, yeah, I think if you have the opportunity in life to live on your own and you're financially able to do it, it is such a cool experience. And I mean, I would recommend also having the experience of living with roommates, living with your best friend. Like, those are all experiences that I would also like say, if you have the opportunity, try them out, because I've had really amazing memories made in each of those phases of my life. And right now I just feel like I'm learning so much about myself, my tastes, what I like to do when I'm not considering someone else. It's made me more comfortable being alone and spending time with myself. I feel more independent now, more adult-like. And it's also made me appreciate how much I really do value my friends and family. I feel like I'm more present with my interactions with people, and I'm making more of an effort myself to reach out and connect with my friends, my family, my peeps. It's just in general, just an experience I'm really glad to be experiencing right now in my life while I'm still single. I've got no responsibilities like beyond keeping myself alive. So yeah, it's been a real gift so far. I hope that answers some of your questions about living solo. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever lived alone? Do you live alone? What's your living situation right now? And if you do live alone, or you have in the past, like, what is a tip that you have for people who are considering the jump? Also, I'm always looking for more advice, so I would appreciate it too. I will see you all very soon with a new video, and until then, bye everyone. And now I have to deal with this bug. Oh my god. I'm so glad I trapped it though. That was the goal. If I didn't trap it, I wouldn't have been able to sleep tonight, which is a joke, but also not. Also not.